Welcome everyone. We're starting something new today. We have our very first panel where we have multiple guests on our space, and this is very exciting. And we're honored to have Audrey and Jerry join us to join this as our first panel. So thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Glad to be here.
Oh, I see
Yeah.
Anna.
And it's funny. Anna and I are both currently at the Bitcoin Bay office. We had an interesting morning with the Waterloo. I don't know how to say their acronym, but they had some interesting speakers, mostly AI focused, but interesting nonetheless. And it's in the neighborhood, so we popped in to do our space here in this lovely space, office
So
space.
downtown Toronto.
Yes. I'm more of a midtown person, but I do make my way to this neck of the woods every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as I mentioned, this is our very first panel at Toronto DAO. We have two guests who have been very involved in the crypto community for as long as I can remember. So why don't you briefly introduce yourselves? We'll start with you, Audrey.
Hey, everyone. So, yeah, my Audrey and I started in 2015 with CryptoChicks, actually. Well, I opened a little restaurant in Toronto, and my partner's husband was mining Bitcoin in the basement. That's how I got started. And then my gateway in was through CryptoChicks, the nonprofit educational hub in Toronto. And yeah, I've been in this space ever since. I worked with everybody up here on this panel, and it's a great community, and I love being a part of it.
It's funny. I can kind of picture the Bitcoin in the restaurant thing because I used to work at a restaurant, and there's always like random rooms that you don't even know what the purpose is for, right?
Yeah,
So I think the owner could have easily just had some Bitcoin mining rigs somewhere, and I wouldn't have
yeah.
even known.
And that was back when you didn't have to be a big mining outfit, right? Now you need,
I mean, you could
yeah,
have done it with your laptop and still made like if you kept it, probably be like a couple hundred grand.
yeah. But yeah, it's different. But yeah, back then they could be everywhere, right?
And now you need like a dedicated building for it.
Yeah.
And Jerry, how about you?
Yeah. So my name's Jerry. I've been in the Bitcoin blockchain crypto space for way too long, way too long. So over 10 years now. Um, I've done a lot of like meetup organizing with Bitcoin Bay in the past, and nowadays I'm focusing more on the Bitcoin Cash side of things, building wallets as well as helping to organize a Bitcoin Cash hackathon later on this year.
Wow, that fits kind of really well into what we're talking about today. Um, so, like, why don't you go into a bit more detail about that Bitcoin Cash hackathon?
Yeah, so the Bitcoin Cash community, it's very, very much a grassroots grown kind of group of people. There's really like no foundations, no like major companies leading it. It's just a whole bunch of smaller companies and so on and so forth. So uh the Bitcoin Cash network has annual upgrades in the middle of May, I believe, May 15th. And so that's on the main nets. So half a year before those network changes go live, they get activated on one of the test nets. So this hackathon coming up in November, that's where we're going to basically trying to push people to play around with some of these new upgrades, develop a few more applications, and just see, like what kind of things people can actually build. So yeah, it's very, very interesting, especially when, there's no formal organization behind it. So yeah, everyone's just basically chipping in wherever they can.
And so, like, what? How is Bitcoin Cash different than Bitcoin? To be honest, I still don't know how the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah, essentially it's very, very similar. Just that like there are a few different upgrade paths that Bitcoin Cash took, rather than Bitcoin. Um, there's a lot of features that like both chains are looking to support. Bitcoin Cash, typically speaking, has done it earlier. So one of the things is Bitcoin covenants, which is a transaction technique where you're able to guarantee certain transaction outputs and outcomes, regardless of who's actually doing the signing for the transactions. So yeah, it's very, very similar in terms of architecture, but it's just slight nuances here and there.
All right, cool stuff. Yeah, I need to read up way more about that. Especially, it's one of the biggest blockchains, and I know so little about it. It's kind of embarrassing. But yeah, so thank you for those awesome introductions. As I said, we're going to be talking about building authentic crypto communities and we have people who have been a part of this space for a long time. So, like, what do you say are the key characteristics of a great crypto community, and not one surrounded by, let's say, scammers? Because let's be honest, we've come a long way in this industry, but there's still some bad actors out there. We'll start with you, Audrey.
So give me the question again.
Like, what are the characteristics of a great crypto community, and like how do you separate? Yeah, let's just start with that.
S- Um, Characteristics in a simplified way. I don't know if I could answer that. Because to me there's so many elements, and obviously one of the, if you're talking a crypto community around a token.
Just no, just like Bitcoin Bay, for example, or your
Okay.
CryptoChicks, something like that.
Right, because a lot of times on the marketing side, when we talk about communities, right, we're either building a community of users, or, if it's a meme token, then you're talking about communities and big communities, but obviously with the purpose of, pumping up a token. So in regards to things like Bitcoin Bay and CryptoChicks and other groups, I would, you know what, it's consistency, I think. And I think with those communities, especially the ones that transcend into real life meetings and stuff, I think it's consistency and staying in the community. Like Jerry, Jerry's been around for a long time doing events, and I don't know. It's a tough question. You know what I mean? Communities in real life, as compared to a community you're putting together just to promote a product. So it's just too
Yeah, I agree
varied.
with the
It's just too
consistency.
vast of a question. Yeah. What do you think,
I
Jerry?
agree with the consistency aspect.
Yeah, so like in my opinion, like regardless of whatever, like focus for the communities are, really it's just, like how supportive everyone is to people,
Yeah.
whether they're new or, like they've been around quite a long time. Obviously, like in the crypto space, we're looking at more so, how much support can a lot of these people get through for their projects or whatever initiatives that they want. So yeah, overall it's just, like how supportive everyone can be, and just helping each other out.
Yeah. And if you're talking about a community around a product or a crypto platform, I think obviously the key driver that keeps everybody there and motivated is a real product, right? Like, look at the Ethereum community is super strong, Solana is super strong, but they continue to provide utility for the community, as opposed to a product that you're just building a community to launch the product. Then there's nothing holding that community together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with that. I also agree with your like consistency angle. This is why we have like the spaces every Thursday, for example. And like if you listen to the recordings of some of our earlier spaces, they were pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. It was just like, hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Um, but it kind of forced us to, okay, if we don't want to have these bad spaces, we have to change it up, but still we have to force ourselves to do this. And the fact that every Thursday at 2 o'clock we have our space, like we, like I said, Anna and I rushed from the Waterloo event to come here to do this. It really makes us accountable, and so I really, uh, I guess, long story short, I really agree with the consistency angle, and with Bitcoin Bay too. I never knew what day of the month Bitcoin Bay was on, never. But I also knew that it wasn't this Monday, so it's next Monday. But that being said, like you mentioned, Audrey, with like there's always a product and a coin with some events, and you have like the popular ones like Ethereum and Solana, and they're legitimate. But like, how can you separate yourself from the bad actors in this field? Because you see these people who sell NFTs who are just in it for a quick buck. I think Kanye West just released a token, and it just looks like already it was a rug pull. So how can you separate yourself, or how do you convince people who are understandably skeptical about crypto community?
Well, if you have an actual product, then and it's a product that people are using, if you thought it out like a traditional business plan of onboarding users, scaling, increasing revenue, blah, 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 then you have a product people will follow, right? Like, and will stay. So there's stickiness there. Look at Ethereum, right? Like Ethereum's been around a long time. Well, crypto years, Ethereum's been around a long time. And if you're a crap product or a crappy event or whatever, then people just aren't going to stick. So how do you in
Yeah.
crypto avoid scammers? I don't know. If you have a good product, you are going to get and a token. If you have a token, you are going to get people there that are just there for the token. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, right? And you could
Mhm.
be the best product.
And
So
for the record, I think I treat crypto years as dog years. So when you said it's been around a long time and then you corrected yourself, I'm like, 10, what is it, 10 times 70, 70 real years, right?
that's right. There you go. Good answer.
How about you, Jerry?
Yeah, I think most of it is really just try to, like educate people as much as possible. Like it's not possible to completely avoid scammers. And even for, quote unquote scammers, a lot of time, like they really did start out with the best of intentions, but like certain things just didn't play out so well, so whatever, right? But yeah, like generally speaking, again, just like try to educate people as much as possible. And subsequently, it's like don't put in significant amount of, like life savings or whatever into these kind of stuff, right? It's just put in whatever you're actually willing to lose.
Yep. 100%. Especially if you're in meme tokens and stuff like that, right? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun getting caught up in the hype and in the communities. It's which communities are really trying to build utility.
Yeah, those are all good points. And Terry, to your point, it's like don't put the whole barn in it. Like don't invest your whole savings. I think the former founder of Celsius, he was telling people to like withdraw all your money and put it with him, right? So there, I that's actually works out really well to give advice to not put everything out there, not put everything in one basket because you have known scammers telling you to do the exact opposite. So, what do you think are effective strategies for onboarding people?
If I can, I think most of it really is just, like getting people to like it's just the basics, right? Get people to download a wallet, maybe transfer them some tokens here and there, transfer them some coins. And yeah, just really just try to get people to play around with it, get more comfortable with it, get more familiar with it. And yeah, like slowly and steadily just like, add it on, right? Don't be like, hey, you need to have, hardware wallets, you need to have all these like fancy stuff all of a sudden, right? Just start people off on the basic stuff where you're actually able to get people competently using crypto, and then slowly like add on all the other fancy toys.
Is it true? Is what Alwyn says is true that you guys gave out like hundreds of thousands worth of Bitcoin?
There's a significant time lapse in that, but I suppose so. I mean, back then it definitely was not worth hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, it's true, but hindsight's 2020. But Alwyn loved to point that out at all the meetups. And what about you, Audrey? What do you think are the most effective strategies for onboarding people?
I think keep it simple, right? And I've been in the space a long time, and if somebody sends me, oh, blah blah blah, NFT to connect this Jupiter worm, blah blah blah, I zone out. I'm like, it's too, forget it, forget it. The gate's too high. So keep it simple. And and that's really I in projects when I get asked to consult on projects, a lot of people, oh, token, token, token. And I'm like, why do you need a token? Like really justify your token, right? You're gatekeeping something that mass people just won't buy onto. So that's what I say. Keep it simple. What's the easiest path? Take it.
Yeah, I mean, here at Toronto, DAO, we've even tried like NFTs, like onboarding and stuff, and a lot of people still had trouble with that.
Mm-hmm.
People gave us, we were airdropping NFT memberships, and people were giving us their address on KuCoin or something, which obviously wouldn't work. And it also reminded me of this project in Argentina where I won't name them, but they kind of created a stablecoin pegged to beer. And regardless of whatever the price of beer was, like if you had a token, you could get it, exchange it for one beer.
Right.
And oh my God, we were surrounded by people in the Web3 industry, tons of people who know how to swap, bridge, mint, all that stuff. And boy, was buying this token a pain in the ass.
Right. So like why would you do that? You know what I mean? Why would you do that? Yeah.
The
I'll
fact that
just go buy a
you
beer. I can't get that time left. Back.
yeah,
My blue trying to buy your token. Yeah.
and we're not again, we were surrounded by Web3 people, not people you just find on the street, and we were just like, forget it.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I don't know, it's been a year, so hopefully they've ironed things out. But yeah, I would definitely agree, keep it as simple as possible. And I guess you kind of already answered this question, Audrey, but so I'll skip to Jerry. But should a token or an NFT be part of building a community?
Um, I really think that people haven't really yet used the tokens on a more functional level. Right now, it's still kind of, like more so aesthetics and, like just representing arbitrary membership. But yeah, I do think that it has, actually a rather significant role to play in terms of all the community stuff. Um, in terms of like specialized access, on-chain only activities, um, sometimes, like, for example, on Bitcoin Cash, I just mentioned that, there are some of these DeFi platforms, these contracts and whatnot that actually use, these NFTs and tokens and whatnot to represent, certain ownerships of whatever. So yeah, really, it just depends on like how people actually want to apply it. Um, and yeah, no, obviously, if it's just for aesthetics, then that can only last for so long. But if it's more so on a more utility basis, then yeah, I think it has a very, very healthy amount of room to grow.
What would you consider like a utility basis for a community NFT or token?
So for example, like if certain actions require you to use your token to, just prove that, you have access or something like that. Um, could be as simple as voting for certain proposals. Could be, like for all sorts of like other stuff, right?
And I know, Audrey, you said you kind of answered this already, but do you have anything to add to what you've said?
No, I agree with Jerry. Like, there is definitely a use case for token gating or what have you communities. You just need to know that it's your demographic, right? Like, I'm not gonna token gate coffee shop down the street, book club kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just not gonna tokenize it.
Yeah. I'd like to spend money at your institution. No.
Yeah. Again, like if it's your demographic, there, look at the size of some of the crypto communities. 100%. They're the communities there and that could support it. But that's know your audience, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, so, how do you move the topic of conversation in these communities from price talk to more building?
I guess it depends. Like I always tell when I'm consulting with a project and they're doing a token launch, I say, so note that a lot of your marketing budget will go to just promoting the token. So that's not money that's going to build your product or onboard users. It's only going to be to market people to actually move the token. And so it depends on your budget, it depends on your goals, it depends on how you started to build your community initially, right? Like if at the end of the day your bread and butter is users and they're paying some sort of fee or transaction fees or whatever, then you should be onboarding and building that community organically as soon as you can. You're going to get token shillers, right? So that's a tough one because to get on the launch pads, you have to have so many people in your community, et cetera, which means you're focusing on vanity metrics and token buyers as opposed to users. So that answer to your question is it depends, right? Like it depends. Does that make sense? It's,
Oh yeah.
but it's an argument I have from the marketing side all the time is understanding if you have a token, there's marketing the token, and then there's still building your product and onboarding users, which is your long-term revenue, right? So, and if you're not even having those conversations, then you're a shit coin or a meme coin or whatever, right? So, yeah, it depends.
What do you think, Jerry?
Sorry, can you just repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, sure. Like, how do you sort of shift the conversation and create engagement beyond price talk and focus more on building?
Oh, yeah. Generally what I say is I try to shift the focus less on the price and more so on just the broken nature of the economic system, monetary system and so on and so forth. Obviously, like we've seen a lot of, like money printing from all the central banks, so on and so forth. We've seen, what happens to certain countries when they go way too overboard with the money printing. And yeah, like really it's just, like a matter of I guess, you can kind of treat it like an insurance policy. But even with this insurance policy, like you still need all the infrastructure to, like enable people to actually use it on a more convenient level. So in that case, like a lot of adoption with merchants or and so on and so forth, or even just like businesses and other companies being comfortable doing these crypto transactions instead of relying on like wire payments, wire transfers, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty elaborate answer. I like it. I mean, price point is part of it. It's the reality of the situation. I mean, I'm not. I remember sometimes at Bitcoin Bay, it's Bitcoin went up 5% and the whole place was packed, and then Bitcoin would go down 10%, and then there would be just a few of us. And it's the reality of the situation. But for a long time, there was a lot of us that just didn't care what the price was, right? I remember going to a Bitcoin Bay meeting at a $12,000 Bitcoin, and the all-time high was like 50 grand at that point. So um, there are people who are dedicated regardless, right?
Yeah, yeah, and definitely like the turnouts definitely tracks the price fairly closely. Although I would say it's more of a lagging indicator than a leading one. It would be great though, if if the turnouts was a leading indicator of where the prices would be going, then then we can all time the market that way. But yeah, I know it's like again, people there are still people that want to like make a more so longer term career out of like all this crypto, all this Web3, blockchain, whatever people want to call it. But and yeah, there's still a lot of builders in the space as well, like people who are making applications, various sorts of games, not just, random tokens and stuff like that, but yeah, like real user applications that hopefully can bring about adoption. And yeah, like we do try to give them, well-deserved highlights, at a lot of these, networking events, social events, and so on, and really just like help showcase to the community like what people are actually working on, and what's happening beyond just like the price hype.
Yeah, good stuff. So going on to the next topic, what do you think are the best tools for communities like social media or like we have our Twitter blue check mark, like LinkedIn. Like, what do you use more often?
I use too many of these platforms. I use almost every single one of them, except Signal. So, LinkedIn, Twitter. What I find is that, these chat channels, these chat groups on WhatsApp and Telegram are really helpful in just keeping the conversation alive. Um, but yeah, like they all basically just serve different purposes. Like Instagram, it's more so for more visual formats, so videos and pictures and whatnot. So um, yeah, it's all good, but at the end of the day, you still need the people engage, right? So what exactly are you guys, like up to? What do people have to look forward to, and so on and so forth. And it could be as simple as, just like small online engagements and, like maybe some airdrops here and there, or, like maybe some trivias here and there, right? So, yeah, really it's just, keeping people engaged as much as possible.
I was actually thinking of putting a poll out if people call it the Sky Dome or the Rogers Center still, because I don't know, people call me old for still calling it the Sky Dome.
No, it's definitely called the Sky Dome. I don't know what they're doing,
Yeah,
naming stuff.
and they act like they don't know what you're talking about when you say like you were at the Sky Dome. Like, where's that? Like, come on, you know where I went. How about you, Audrey? What do you think are some good tools for building communities?
Um, if you're talking about social media platforms, to me it would be where is the community? So, like Facebook is still massive communities. It's not like I know a lot of us in crypto will be like, oh, it's dead, but it's not, especially like Vietnam. There's some Facebook is still and it's easy to run communities in Facebook. Is is it in a WhatsApp group? Are you better off doing email and then having Zoom meetings weekly? Like, you know what I mean? It like a lot of people hate Discord, but Discord is still used a lot in Web3, right?
I haven't used Discord in a while, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, Discord has a lot of nice customization and bots and stuff like that. So it really just depends on like how well you set up these channels, right? So and it's also very similar to Telegram bots. I've seen some channels with really, really good Telegram bots. And some of them they'll even sell it as premium service for any sort of market indicators on like which coins to buy. So yeah, there's a lot of things that people can do. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite bot?
Right now it would be Rosebot, for the managing of the channels. So, but yeah, like I haven't really played too much with those bots. A lot of them they
That's
are
an old one.
customized as well.
That's a classic one though. That's probably one of the most used ones.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think so. We used to have a WhatsApp. We kind of still do, but we don't moderate it. We switched to Telegram, which is working out. And of course, we have our Twitter Spaces. Anna's been doing a lot of work with LinkedIn, and I think that's also a bit overlooked, especially by myself. I rarely use LinkedIn personally, but um, for instance, we got many of you recall we had a big partnership with Sui for a bit, and that was all because they discovered our LinkedIn. But yeah, so like this has been great. We learned a lot. Do either of you have any advice for just future builders, people who want to create a community? Just something, brief words of wisdom.
I just think as soon as you think, or if you know at some point you want to be a builder, I would start, especially in crypto, and if it's a finance or business based app, I would start even slowly but surely building your personal brand presence on LinkedIn and X. That's my advice. Before you even launch a
Yeah,
product, you can become an expert or be researching and becoming a voice in whatever market that is.
yeah, I agree with that. I'm not as active on. I have one post on Instagram, and I'm not really active on Facebook anymore. But I'm posting a lot on Twitter just to sort of build up my personal brand. So I can definitely relate to that. I don't have. I think I have a 50th of the followers that you do, but it's a start.
Awesome.
How about you, Jerry? Do you have any advice for any future community builders out there?
Really, it's just, try to be as authentic as possible, I think. And obviously, like maintain some sort of content or again, things to look out for people joining. So yeah, like just be sure to be consistent, right? Like it doesn't have to be super, super frequent, but consistency is key. And also just tap into the people in the communities that you're forming and see who else would be willing to help out, right? No need to do everything by yourself. There's plenty of people who are willing to volunteer, help out. Who knows, maybe things will grow bigger and then you could be as, like a group like TechTO where it's like, absolutely massive and lots of big companies supporting the organization. So, yeah, that's what basically I would say.
That's it's just great advice, and yeah, like again, speaking with like from Toronto DAO, we often reach out to many of our communities, and we've helped each other out. So I definitely agree with you there, Jerry. But yeah, this has been fun. Our very first panel. I liked it a lot. Thank you so much for uh, both Audrey and Jerry for agreeing to be guests on our panel. I don't think we'll have a panel every week, but we're gonna try to aim for one once a month. So be on the lookout for our next panel. Once again, I'm Matthew Glezos. I am one of the co-founders of Toronto DAO. Thank you, Anna, for hosting. And I hope to see you all next week at our regular time, Thursdays at 2. And I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you,
all right,
everyone.
thanks so much.
Bye
Cheers.
bye.